Hi, my name's Caroline Lamb, and I am Chief Executive of NHS Scotland and Director General for Health and Social Care at the Scottish Government.
Hello everyone, I'm Amanda Croft and I'm the Chief Nursing Officer.
Hi Amanda, good to see you and welcome. I think you're about 3 months into role now as Chief Nursing Officer, which is only slightly less time than I've been in this job. So maybe just to start off, can you tell us a little bit about your career to date and what brought you to this role?
Yes, thanks Caroline and hi and thank you for doing this interview with me. So my career to date and how did I get here? So I started off as a care assistant many years ago, and I was in that role for a few months and then went on to be a nursing auxiliary and went on to do my enrolled nurse training, which isn't we don't do that anymore. Quickly converted to being a staff nurse, and my clinical career was around elderly care, mainly in medical wards, but stroke rehabilitation. And I came up to Scotland in 2000, and my first job in Scotland was as a bed manager in Aberdeen Royal Infirmary, a really challenging post, I have to say. And then I was in Grampian for 20 years in a variety of professional leadership posts and general management posts, latterly as chief executive. And then I applied for this job and was successful, and I feel very privileged to be in it.
Well, we're very pleased to have you as well. So just thinking about the time that you've been with Scottish Government now, and I just wondered what you've learnt so far, and maybe also what your biggest challenge or challenges have been.
I think one of the challenges that I've found, Caroline, is this meeting everybody virtually. There's lots of opportunities around virtually working, but I think when you're in a new role and you're meeting new people for the first time on many occasions, I think that's been quite a challenge. But as I say, lots of opportunities as well around that. So I'm focusing more on the opportunities than the challenge it's been.
Quite right too, but I absolutely agree with what you're saying about coming into a new role and not being able to do those just sort of walk-arounds and meeting people and being thrown straight into meeting people you only ever see on a screen, because it's much it's challenging, isn't it? Obviously we do develop a relationship, we do work really well together, but you miss that sort of slightly more informal chat over the coffee pot or whatever it is.
Definitely.
So we're here today to talk about the International Day of the Nurse. So what does the International Day of the Nurse mean to you?
I think, I'm immensely proud to be a nurse, always have been. And I think for me this year, the International Day of the Nurse takes on a slightly different meaning. I think nurses, midwives, AHPs, all clinical professionals do a fantastic job every day. But I think the last 14 months particularly have been a huge challenge. And I think what I've seen through nursing and some of the stories I've heard of how the nurse is often the constant with the patient. So we cover the services 24/7 in most specialties, whether that's in hospital, whether it's in primary care, mental health, and importantly this year I think the work our nurses have done in care homes has been absolutely tremendous. So I think what nurses have shown, as they show every day, pre-COVID and particularly during COVID, is that real compassion and the resilience and the hours and the way they've gone above and beyond in terms of working in PPE for over 12 hours. But I think that the way that nurses have taken on the digital side of things to allow families to communicate with their relatives, that because there's no visiting, I just think this year's been tremendous. And as I say, some of the stories I've heard have brought real tears to my eyes. So I think this year for me personally, it means so much more than it has any other year, but that's not to say it was any less important every other year.
Yeah, it's really important, isn't it, to have the opportunity to celebrate what all our different professional groups can contribute towards really top quality patient care. And I guess, we're celebrating just now is the International Day of the Nurse, but equally there's so many others that contribute
absolutely
across the piece. Thinking forward now, what are your priorities in terms of trying to support the recovery of our health and care services?
So my first priority would be that staff wellbeing piece. make sure that we support staff to recover, to take time out appropriately. Scottish Government and boards and health and social care have offered many services to support staff through the pandemic, and I know that we will continue many of them to allow staff to have access to support where they need it. But I think there's also that softer piece of just allowing staff that downtime and to recover at a speed that's appropriate, that'll make it sustainable rather than we're struggling again in 6 months' time, say. So there's the staff wellbeing piece. I think the other bit is let's not miss the opportunities that have arisen. So let's really look at what's worked really well in a really difficult situation, and let's keep that. Let's not go back to how we've always worked just because it's what we know. So really, let's keep those opportunities. And I think another key thing for me is that visibility piece. So you can be sort of visible virtually, but I think as soon as I, and I know many other directors in the Scottish Government, as soon as we can get out and about, I think it's really important to go out and meet teams, talk to them, listen to what they found the challenge has been, but also what do they think the opportunities are. So I think they're the three things I would look for in terms of recovery, Caroline.
Yeah, thanks, Amanda. And I think, that point about staff wellbeing is absolutely critical, not just during a pandemic, but beyond a pandemic.
Definitely.
And actually that should just be embedded in the way in which we all work, in the way in which we all think about the workforce and how important they are. And I think as well, yeah, absolutely, there's been tremendous innovation, and it's really important that we acknowledge massive achievements that have been made, and that we think about how we can embed them and continue to improve and enhance things in the future. Thanks very much for that, Amanda. It's been really lovely talking to you, and I look forward to continuing to work with you and celebrating many more International Nurses Days. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll just finish this conversation with saying I too hope we celebrate many more International Nurses Day, and a huge thank you to every single one of you out there for everything you do each and every day. So thank you very much.